to future YouTube viewers. This is The Last of Us Part 2 leaks online. Another franchise falls to SJW pandering. Geeks and Gamers, take it away.
What's up, Geeks and Gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today it has not been a very good day for Sony, for Naughty Dog, and for The Last of Us Part 2. Wow. This game has been rumored to have problems for a while now. I really haven't talked much about it here on the channel. For some reason,
I mean, it has been delayed indefinitely due to COVID, and one thing I do remember reading is that a lot of their senior staff has quit because of crunch. The standard video game industry issue of crunch leading to fewer people wanting to work for you. I remember specifically seeing someone claim that if they had the staff they had of Last of Us 1, they would have launched already. So, there's that.
I don't know why I haven't been very excited for this game. I have the original Last of Us. This is the remastered version that came out on the PS4. Fantastic game. One of the best games ever. The story is incredible. The gameplay is awesome. The atmosphere is wonderful. Everything about The Last of Us is a fantastic gaming experience. So if you've never played that first game, I would highly recommend it. I don't know why I haven't been overly hyped about the second one, and it has nothing to do with a lot of the stuff that we've been hearing. I just haven't been excited for a while. But as we've been getting more information about this game, it has been pretty clear that it's going to be bogged down by what almost everything that gets popular gets bogged down by: identity, politics, and SJW nonsense. Because this
Yes, the id poll and SJWs ruining the video game industry by making it more inclusive.
is what they do. If something is popular, if something has a platform, they want to interject that into whatever it is that has the platform. We've seen this over and over again from movies, we've seen it in certain games, and now we're seeing it potentially within The Last of Us 2. So yesterday, the entire plot was reportedly leaked by a disgruntled employee at Naughty Dog over a payment dispute. Now again, I say reportedly. That is the story that's out there. We haven't confirmed that. I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere else, so I'm just telling you what's out there. Now, we're not going to get into the specifics of the plot detail because Sony has reacted to this news by bumping up the release date to June 19th because these spoilers are all over the place. This is over on One Angry Gamer, and I will, I don't even know if I can leave links anymore on YouTube. Who knows what you can do on YouTube anymore, but One Angry Gamer is a great website, and they have everything listed here on this article. So just search this out: The Last of Us Part 2 leaked footage surfaces, and it is filled with SJW antics, spoilers. So go check that out. All of the scenes that you're looking for to get specifics and context to what is going on are there. And there are plot leaks all over the place. It's not that hard to find these things out on the internet if you're looking for them. But this is incredibly disappointing, but it's not that surprising considering everything we've been hearing for the last few months about this. It's the typical, let's take something, let's take an element of the story and let's just build an entire narrative around it. It's very female-centric. It's pushing the whole,
What's wrong with that? Do you think he's actually gonna say what's wrong with it, or is he just gonna leave it as an implication? Because, I mean, I'm a cishet white dude, so I am spoilt for choice on games which show people who look kind of like me doing cool shit. But if you're a girl who likes video games, which, hey, surprise, surprise, there's a lot of women who like video games. This may seem weird to some of you incel people locked in the basement who their only interaction with women is harassing them on social media, but there's a lot of women who like video games. And you know how you get more women in video games? You show women doing cool shit in video games. I mean, that was one of the main things that people liked about the original Last of Us. It's kind of ironic for him to say he really liked the original Last of Us and then come out with this shit, because one of the big things about the first game was that Ellie was a fully developed character. She wasn't a MacGuffin. She wasn't an object. She had her own story, her own pathos. She existed within the world and was her own character. That's probably the reason why they chose to focus on her for the sequel, to expand her character out. I mean, there's certainly a certain amount of rainbow capitalism to it. I'm not going to deny that. But to say that they just put Ellie in here as a lesbian because the SJWs is just dumb.
LGBTQ alphabet community stuff. It's got the cult that hates the LGBT people that's going to attack them, and it's
as a representative of that cult, how do you respond?
It's supposed to be an apocalyptic zombie, setting, and they're bringing real world 2020 politics into it. We've seen this time and time again. I don't know why they continue to do this, but this is par for the course for the entertainment industry. And once again, we find ourselves seeing what once was a great franchise, and it should have been left alone. The Last of Us should have been a standalone story and just left it alone and moved on. But no, they saw an opportunity, they saw a big platform, and now here they are trying to utilize that platform to push real-world politics. It is...
Yes, because the best forms of art, and video games are art, I will defend that to the hilt. Not all video games, but video games in general are about representing our relationship with the real world. I mean, this is the kind of person who would watch RoboCop and say, hey, that's a good movie, and see no politics in it. I mean, if you can watch a Paul Verhoeven movie and not see politics in it, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Especially RoboCop. But the fact that they're using this post-apocalyptic backdrop to also talk about LGBT issues is a good thing, because it demonstrates that these are things that we need to work for, that we need to work to correct, and not things that are just going to get better on their own. And anyone who thinks that these issues would disappear in an apocalypse, either because they think that everyone would band together and say, hey, we need to work together, or what have you, or people who say that there would be no lesbians after the apocalypse, doesn't understand humans.
Is unbelievable. If you want more information, we're going to be covering this over on our Gaming with Geeks channel. That is our gaming channel over on YouTube. I will leave a link to that because YouTube will let you leave links to YouTube videos, but I've been hit for having my website and other websites in the metadata. There is no rhyme and reason to YouTube and their nonsense.
Spare me the victimhood. Seriously. Like, from what I understand, you have to be a YouTube partner, which this guy more than qualifies for, to put links, the cards that pop up occasionally on videos. But if he's having trouble linking to other things, it probably means he's violating some sort of TOS. I mean, I could be wrong. But generally, when these people bitch about these kind of things, that's what they're bitching about.
I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people that are disappointed by this, and there's also going to be the other side of the equation where there's going to be a lot of people that have probably never played The Last of Us, don't know anything about the story, and they're going to try and capitalize off this with their hashtags and their Twitter, white knighting. That's what's going to happen, so go ahead and be prepared for that. By the way, there's another...
Yes, white knighting to talk about how good it is to have greater representation in video games. That's what it is. It's not that we want to expand the base of people who enjoy games to make it a more fuller and richer subculture. We just want a white knight so that women will sleep with us. That's it. Yep.
Aspect of this, and again, I won't go into specifics about it, but there's a certain character, a prominent male character, that reportedly, due to the rumors and the plot leaking, is not going to be with us anymore. Because, of course, if you have a strong male character, you can't let him last. You can't let him.
Joel's story, I assume he's talking about Joel here. Joel's story took place almost entirely before the first game. He was an adult who had a child who was about Ellie's age, and that child died at the very beginning of the apocalypse. So as a result, he went like super nihilistic, don't care about anyone, don't care about anything. And then he met Ellie and had to help her and keep her alive. And so he certainly had an arc. But his story was pretty much done by the end of the game. Whether he went on to help another colony or whatever you want to call it, another survival camp, or whether he just stayed on his own with Ellie, I'm sure they'll talk about that. But he was also kind of an older guy in an apocalyptic setting. There's at least 5 or so years between the events of the first game and this one that's supposed to come out. So it's perfectly reasonable to say he would die, and it's also perfectly reasonable to make that a plot point, i.e., the mentor figure dies so the mentee can grow on their own. Like, seriously. Why does Joel need to be in this game? So we have another grizzled white male in a fucking video game? No, I'm totally cool with them killing off Joel. Especially, especially because it fulfills that kind of old mentor trope. So if he's about to bitch about them not having Joel in the game, spare me.
Continue to be the hero, and that's apparently what's happening in these leaks. So you have to remove the toxic male to make it more female centric, and then we've got to then put
there is nothing intrinsically toxic about men. Okay? I know I talked about this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I've talked about this on stream. Masculinity is, when we talk about toxic masculinity, we're not talking about all masculinity or all aspects of men or maleness or masculinity are toxic. We're talking about how certain men interpret how they should be men. And what that means is that no one is saying that Joel was a toxic man. He definitely had some elements of toxic masculinity to him, but I mean, in a video game, that's somewhat more acceptable because it makes the character more human, more real. Just because we're pushing back against toxic masculinity and the effects it has on society doesn't mean we don't recognize that those are very standard aspects and are very useful in a story like this to show a flawed person. But as far as video game protagonists go, I don't think Joel was that toxic. I mean, I haven't played the game. I watched a Let's Play of it a few years ago, a long-form Let's Play where they went through the whole game. But I don't really recall. I mean, he was kind of stoic and very much not interested in being another father figure. But, you know, he changed. And a big part of the game was his changing and losing some of those toxic elements. So it's not that we don't want a toxic man in the video game. It's that his purpose was served. I do wonder, and I don't feel like looking because it was years and years ago, I wonder if he would have said the same thing about The Walking Dead Season 2. Because The Walking Dead Season 1, oh god, I can't remember the character's name now, but the main character of the first season was a dude. The first season of the Walking Dead video game, the Telltale game, was phenomenal. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. But at the end, spoilers for like a 6-year-old game, he dies. How can I not remember his name right now? He dies, and in a very, very touching and emotional scene, functionally passes the torch to Clementine. So when season 2 rolled around, who's the protagonist? Clementine. A little girl. Do you think that he bitched about that? Probably. I assume so. Even though Clementine was a fucking badass.
Push all of our identity politics into it. What a nonsensical situation we have found ourselves in, but I've been warning you about this, and so many other people out there have been warning you about this, so this is absolutely no surprise whatsoever. This feels like a Game of Thrones type of collapse. Now again, Game of Thrones didn't fall due to identity politics, it just fell to horrific storytelling and horrific character assassination. With this, based on what we're hearing, this feels like this is directly a result of identity politics and SJW pandering.
Proof? Evidence? Some sort of source to back up this claim, Mr. Geeks and Gamers? Because Ellie being at least bisexual was heavily implied, if not explicit, in the first game. At least in the DLC content, which was sort of a flashback, where we learn how Ellie got bit and also meet her friend who also died to the zombies. There's some very clear young girls making their first attempts at romance with each other vibes in that if they weren't meant, then I'm glad they embraced them in the sequel. So what proof do you have that Ellie's situation, her lesbian, her being the protagonist, what proof do you have that these are the result of SJW pandering or id poll requirements, and not just what the writers thought would make a good story? I mean, I try to do less apologia for big companies when it comes to creative things, simply because 9 times out of 10, the story is focus grouped and people do try to, basically there are certain things that they try to hit in order to increase their market share. Anyone who denies this is literally denying reality. So I try not to say, oh, they definitely did that because they thought it would make for the best story, and not because they thought that it would be, make the best product, sell the best. But, I mean, Naughty Dog is pretty good creatively. From what I've read, what I've heard. I'll be perfectly honest, I haven't owned a PlayStation since... Actually, I can tell you, not the exact date, but I can tell you the era of when I lost my PlayStation. It actually yellow lighted on me when the Kinect came out for the Xbox 360. So to give you some idea of when the last time I owned a PlayStation product, it's been since the Kinect was a new thing. So it has been a minute since I had a PlayStation product. So I haven't played a Naughty Dog product. I haven't played Last of Us. I haven't played... Didn't they do the Uncharted series? Yeah, I haven't played Naughty Dog. But, I mean, they seem to be willing to take some risks and make some interesting games. So, I'm okay with giving them a little benefit of the doubt. So you really need to do some legwork to prove that this is an SJW pandering and not just what they wanted to do. Let's see if you can do it. I have my doubts.
Time will tell. Again, I'm not saying all of this is 1000% correct, but based on everything we have seen, based on the response from Sony, from Naughty Dog, it seems that this is absolutely positively true, and it is sad. And I'm going to be interested to see how The Last of Us Part 2 performs now. I feel like the internet has collectively decided that this is trash, and the only people that are out there trying to praise it for this stuff are the people that aren't going to support it in the first place. The same people that talked about how proud they were of Ghostbusters 2016 and The Rise of Skywalker and Solo and so many other things, Charlie's Angels, the latest Terminator Dark Fate movie. All of these things did not perform very well, all things considered.
So, I want to make it clear. We can champion things that are good representation, like Ghostbusters 2016, like Last of Us 2, like Charlie's Angels, but that doesn't mean they're good products, okay? Like, we live in a market economy. Spoilers for anyone who thought this was some other kind of economy. So if all the advertising in the world is not going to beat the people who see it opening night getting on Twitter and saying, God, that movie sucked. Or people who get a game right on release, fire up Twitch, start playing it, and their whole audience can see, oh my God, this game sucks. Again, representation is good and it should be celebrated, but it's not going to save a bad product. So this is where the go woke, go broke idea comes from. They cherry pick these bad products that are also examples of representation and say, oh, these are garbage. And it's because they went woke that they don't say they're garbage. Well, they do. They say these went woke, these tried to be woke, failed, and so they're garbage. Well, no. They're garbage because they're bad product. Like, if they had just remade Ghostbusters but with 4 male comedians and kept the same writers, kept the same director, the same editors, you know, just swap out the 4 actresses they put in for, like, I don't fucking know, Dimitri Martin, Dane Cook, I don't know modern comedians, I don't give a shit. They just swapped them out, you know, male for female, but kept the same writers, kept the same script, kept everything else the same, it still would have been a shit movie. Because, as I've said it before, the 4 comedians in that movie are all decent to good comedians in their own right. But even a good comedian has trouble with a bad script and more trouble with a worse editor.
But the weirdos on Twitter were the ones that were preaching the loudest about how supportive they were going to be. And I feel like that's the same thing The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be dealing with.
It's worth noting that even on places like Twitter, people who support things just because they're representative are a minority. So, yeah. If they're a minority, they're not going to make a shitty movie into a huge success. The money that, to keep going back to Ghostbusters Part 2 made, or Ghostbusters 2016 made, was probably largely due to people who were either fans of one or more of the individual comedians in it, or people who wanted to support proper representation. And that's not enough to make up for a shit movie. Like, you can make a good movie with good representation and it'll do well. You can make a good movie with bad representation and it will do well. Representation increases your likely viewer base, your likely audience, but it's not going to save a bad movie.
Either way, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And again, please go subscribe to Gaming with Geeks. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers over there. And also, we're over on Twitch.
Yeah, no, fuck you. Subscribe to me instead. Alright, so from there, this is the initial Another Franchise Falls to SJW pandering. Bookmark this for when Last of Us 2 eventually does come out, and we'll see how it does, because I'm guessing that it is gonna do gangbusters because people have been waiting for this for a long time. Let's see. Naughty Dog gets exactly what they deserve. So another video talking about Naughty Dog. At least he's not inconsistent.
What's up, Geeks and Gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking about The Last of Us Part 2 leaks and how hilarious it all is, and how it comes down to one very, very simple thing. From a developer standpoint, from a company standpoint, Naughty Dog got exactly what they deserved, and I feel absolutely, positively no sympathy whatsoever for this company after what they've done with this franchise. And so many people are laughing. It's a meme now. This entire game is now a meme. It went from one of the most anticipated games of the entire generation to nothing more than an internet meme. And why? Because you took a game that had a huge fan base, incredibly well received. A lot of people consider it one of the best games ever made. And people ask me, because I said it's one of the best games ever made in my last video, I really love The Last of Us. I think it's a fantastic game. Is it one of my favorite games of all time? No. But I recognize how many people do view it in that light, and I respect that. But for me,
I really hate this performative, oh no, I loved the old thing that we know was good, but this new thing made by the same company, with many of the same characters, I know is gonna suck. This bullshit really aggravates me.
love the game, but it's not in like my top 10 or anything like that. But that's neither here nor there. We are talking about,
well, no, his top 10 is probably filled up by the last 10 Call of Duty releases.
How many people were looking forward to this game. You know, the dynamic between Ellie and Joel is one of the most powerful things in the game, and probably elevates that game to the heights that it ultimately made it to.
Right, but as I've already said, Joel's story is done. Bringing him back would be gratuitous, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure a good writer could come up with a good thing for him to do, a good reason for him to be there. But why do that when it'd be so much simpler to create a new dynamic? What's wrong? Do you not have faith in Naughty Dog to create a good dynamic between characters? You know, kind of the thing they're known for, along with good level design and fun mechanics. What's the worry, Jeremy?
And they completely moved away from that dynamic to push diversity, forced diversity, inclusion, progressive themes, and all for what? For what? To sacrifice your entire story, to sacrifice your characters, to sacrifice everything? That's exactly what's happened. So I do not feel sorry for them whatsoever. And they've also got...
Okay, so apparently the whole plot has been leaked, but depending on how it was leaked, I can think of a lot of really good stories that if you leaked their plot, it would seem real dumb. And depending on how you leaked it, like, what's a good example? I mean, the original Star Wars plot synopsis is pretty fucking dumb. It's a farm boy meets a mentor, goes off and joins a rebellion, and wins a battle and saves the day. Like, obviously you can get more nuanced than that, but I mean, that's basically the plot synopsis of the original Star Wars. So, again, I don't care about The Last of Us that much. I don't have a PlayStation 4, so I can't play it. They still haven't brought The Last of Us 1 to PC, so I can't play that either. I mean, I could probably find a PS3 emulator. Those exist, but mostly what I'm worried about, I just don't care. There are plenty of games like it. If I want to play a Naughty Dog style action-adventure game, I'll play the Tomb Raider games, because those are actually on PC. But if The Last of Us 2 And I forgot even what I was bitching about, so fuck it.
I don't want to talk specifics because, again, I don't know what all they're flagging right now, but whatever you've heard from the internet, it's almost certainly true in terms of this plot leak. Yes, there is a... I don't know if the person is a ma'am or not, but it looks like a ma'am. And that person...
We know what he's referring to here, right? By a ma'am. Yeah, he's talking about the GameStop trans woman. It's ma'am. Yeah.
You are forced to play as that person, and that person is responsible for...
As opposed to every other character in a video game, which you have the choice of playing or not. No. You're forced to play as Nathan Drake. What if I don't want to play as a grizzled white dude in Uncharted? I don't have a choice. Fuck you.
For another of the main character's demise, and it's hilarious. Yeah, it's that bad. It's as bad as you think it can be. It's probably worse. It's kind of like Game of Thrones Season 8 at this point. This is kind of like The Last Jedi of The Last of Us. Now, I understand The Last of Us has one game, and I totally understand that. But this is how bad it is. This is The Last Jedi. This is how bad. Now, let's look at this. The Last of Us 2 director is heartbroken. I am so heartbroken.
So this is something I've seen a lot of creative types talk about, is how spoilers or leaks can really harm a creative product. And specifically, I'm referring to the Magic the Gathering community. For a long time, for years and years and years and years, there was a strong community online of people who sought out and posted leaks of upcoming cards and upcoming sets. And the justification was that knowledge of the set helps create, it makes people want the set just as much, if not more. So the argument here, so the argument against that is that by getting the leaks out of order, by not showing, but by getting just random drips and drabs instead of however the company wants to release the leaks, they don't control the narrative, and so it can be very difficult to build the kind of hype and suspense they want to build to have the best release. And it also gives people a wrong impression about the game. So when this person is heartbroken about the leaks, that means that in the director's opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent, the leaks give an incorrect opinion, give an incorrect impression about the game. And I can empathize with that, because while I don't, like, to go back to the Magic the Gathering example, I was never one who was turned off by a spoiler. If I was always hungry for new leaks, new spoilers, new products, new cards that I could look at and think about. But I've heard from other people and seen other people talk about how a spoiler ruined the set for them. It made them completely uninterested in buying it because they saw a mechanic out of order or what have you. There are a variety of ways it happened. So I can empathize with the director here, believing that the leak shows off a bad... shows off the game not the way the developer intended. But of course, Geeks and Gamers here is of the opinion that all leaks are good. And I can empathize with that. Information yearns to be free. Information wants to get out and into the people's hands. And I can empathize with that idea. I kind of try to live my life that way, that information wants to be free and that you shouldn't try to keep things secret, except in the case of creative things. This isn't a case of it being kept secret forever, it's that they want to control how the information gets out. Now, I understand that a lot of companies have used this kind of control of information to try to pass off a bad game as a good thing. But everything's different.
Because I made a shitty product, and it's so shitty.
You don't know it's shitty yet, Jeremy. You just assume it is because it has a trans woman in it allegedly, and the protagonist is a woman, a wretched femoid, and they don't look like bimbified sex dolls. They look like fucking survivors. Who's making assumptions now?
Shitty that we then had disgruntled employees leak it online, and then the entire internet decided that it was even shittier than you could imagine. And you're heartbroken for that. Again, you deserve no sympathy whatsoever. You will get no sympathy from me, and you will get no sympathy from the majority of the internet, because you sacrificed a good story, a good game, and good characters for identity politics. And we are seeing this over and over and over again. And this is why I always say, once you...
Alright, this is boring. This is gonna be the exact same fucking argument. I thought we'd actually... I mistakenly thought that Geeks and Gamers would go into why this is why the leaks are bad, or why this is a bad... But no, it's just... Oh, you made a bad game, that sucks. You don't know it's gonna be bad yet. Like, I have played games with absolutely atrocious gameplay because I was interested in the story. And vice versa. I've played games with absolutely brain-dead stories, Mass Effect 3, because I loved the gameplay. Or, even though the story was trash, the characters were fun. I mean, to be perfectly honest, one of the things Naughty Dog gets a lot of credit for is that they actually employ good writers. You go looking for good writing in video games, it's hard to find. The few who do it stand out tremendously. So, to say that The Last of Us 2 is a garbage game based on a few leaks and some leaked footage is way putting the cart before the horse. So, yeah, I'm not interested. I mean, I don't care about The Last of Us. But Geeks and Gamers cares way more than a person should, in my opinion. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you. See you next time.